We live in this world of online content where people are talking about wake up at 4 a.m. and you jump in the ice bath and that's how you achieve personal growth. And there is nothing that does that better than marriage does.
In athletics, we learned you would start doing something, it'd be so exciting. And then you get to the boring middle. It becomes monotonous and painful and frustrating. And you start thinking, is this ever going to be fun again? And that's usually when people quit.
What about the normal people? The singles who are constantly swiping and overwhelmed with their options, their choices. How do you even commit to a second date?
Every commitment you make, either consciously or unconsciously, is really an invitation for that thing to form your habits and your character and ultimately your life. And so choose those well.
People, they feel like they are sinning to even say, I'm a little bored here, or I'm a little exhausted and I need to look elsewhere. What else is keeping you like, no, this is a commitment?
I would say
Welcome to At Home, Shawn Johnson and Andrew East.
Thank you.
Husband and wife. You guys are new to our At Home community. You guys have your own podcast,
Right.
which we want to give our people all the information to find you in all of the places. Looking forward to our conversation today. Addison and Andrew, y'all know each other.
We do.
Yeah.
And it's only funny because of a comment that you made before we started. You used an incorrect word and we had to restart. But we've played pickleball together.
Battle.
Yeah, we've battled for each other and against each other.
That's right.
And we've stood near each other at church, I think.
we stood near each other.
Behind the
This
whole,
is true community.
Yeah.
the Beveres have a whole row.
Yeah.
It's true. There are
Sometimes.
Yeah.
a lot of us at church, and more friend of friends,
Yeah.
but I've always enjoyed the time that I've gotten to spend with you.
Yeah.
You're a fierce competitor out there
Yeah.
on the pickleball court, but you have a gentleness to you, like a gentle strength. And I know you're brilliant, and I've enjoyed some of the conversations that we've had. And I love that y'all do this together. And with your backgrounds being in athletics and high achievers, high commitment, I'm excited to hear some of your takes on marriage and what it looks like to give all of us to the journey of becoming that is marriage.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about yourselves.
Well, thank you. We met in 2012. I met his oldest brother at the Olympics, and he set us up on a blind date, which never thought that would happen, but seems to be working out. We've been married 10 years, and I feel like we just learned so much from professional athletics about having a community around you, a people of mentors and wise leaders that kind of help you guide your path towards where you're going. And so Andrew and I, especially in our marriage, we approach it the same way. We wake up every morning trying to, be better today than we were yesterday for each other. And we have so many wonderful mentors and wise leaders around us to help us get through hard times and challenges. And we love marriage counseling. And we love truly building a team around us to give us the best chance at being in this forever and making something very fruitful and joyous and beautiful.
Yeah. I feel like marriage is underrated and misunderstood. We live in this world of online content where people are talking about wake up at 4 a.m. and you jump in the ice bath and that's how you achieve personal growth and self-help. And there is nothing that does that, the growth and the self-improvement, better than marriage does. If you wake up every day and you have a spouse who you're trying to love well, and she's a mirror to you and your flaws and your strengths, it is really humbling. And what I've learned that I carried over from athletics is I used to get really discouraged or frustrated when Shawn and I wouldn't see things the same way, or we couldn't align on an issue. And just like in sports where it's a game of reps and practice, marriage I think is as well. And that's a really exciting place to be when there's no finish line. You're in this for a long time and you have a lot of room for practice. And so you show up every day and you try to tweak and iterate and improve and show more grace. And I think we've benefited so much from that. And when we've been formed by so many wonderful coaches and mentors, like Shawn said. One huge book that changed our approach to marriage was The Meaning of Marriage by Tim Keller. I'm not sure if you've read that, but like he talks about how marriage is a pretty difficult arrangement to get out of.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be, because it forces you to say, okay, what can I change, or what's another thing that I can tweak before I pull the parachute, before I pull the escape hatch. And I've just realized that if you view marriage as a commitment that will not change, and I've realized that try as I might, I cannot change Shawn, then the only thing left to change is me. And and that's like a beautiful way to live life, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, and tell people a bit, because you rushed past, you were at the Olympics.
I was at the Olympics.
I was an Olympic gymnast. I competed in the Beijing Olympic Games in 2008, and
Won some medals.
I won some medals. I won a few. Yeah. I did well. The craziest part about the Olympics, especially looking back at it, is I was 16 years old.
Wow.
So I felt like such a grown-up back then. As you probably know with your child, don't you have a 16-year-old?
I do.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
He thinks he's a grown-up.
Yeah, for sure. But now looking back as a mom, I can see how big of a thing it was, because I was truly just a child.
Yeah.
And then you, Andrew, you played.
Yeah,
football.
my list of athletic accolades is way shorter than Shawn's. I played in the NFL in and out for 5 years and was on, I think, 8 different teams over the course of that 5 years, which is really cool because you get to see different teammates, see different coaching styles, and it was a really fun phase of life for us as we adventured around the country and met new friends together. So yeah, it was a good ride.
That's really special. I'm making you steak for Father's
Come
Day.
on, babe. Thank you.
Good rancher steak. The only steak that our family eats, because it is such higher quality than you're able to get in stores. American meat, no antibiotics.
Delivered to your front door.
Straight to my front door.
And right now, if people pick up a Father's Day box, they get free Wagyu burgers.
Who doesn't like free meat?
Come on, which is amazing. So go to goodranchers.com. It's American meat delivered.
Full disclosure, I looked you up before doing this and listened to a podcast that y'all did. It was really well done on parenting. Mm-hmm. And it was talking about your childhoods and how you were an only child and you came from 5.
Yeah, middle of 5.
And your parents, and what an excellent job, really uniquely they did on each of your different stories. But I immediately started to discredit your voice. One, because you were raised by such great people. Yeah. I'm like, good for you. But also that commitment piece was instilled in you from such a young age. I think you said 4 hours every day that you were at the gym. I mean, and gymnastics is no joke. So as I'm looking at this and this message, because then I started getting into your book, I was like, oh, okay. Like there's so much meat and application. I mean, Addison will tell you last night, I was like, we're reading this together. Oh, wow. And then I want to talk about it because it did start to unlock for me a lot of the lingering discontent and frustration. Because I'm the 5th of 6 children to basically a single mom. Yep. So the emphasis on my commitment development was not all there, but also mixed with my personality and whatever else. So that, I guess, wanting to set this up for you guys to speak to the people who may automatically be like, okay, yes, you have that. You guys can speak about life in that way because of your development and your accomplishments. But what about the normal people? What about the everyday people, the singles who are constantly swiping and overwhelmed with their options, their choices, where you talk about marriage being a wonderful thing and they're like, yes, but that's after you've chosen the right person. How do you even commit to a second date or a first date with a person where you can then move on to the richer, more fuller, more joyful parts of life, like you guys talk about really beautifully in the book?
Amazing question, by the way. And I would argue that I get that and I totally understand it. I think we are able to speak from experience in the commitment side where like we learned it and we did it. But stereotypically, if you follow statistics, and we both did to a T, elite athletes have a terrible time getting out of their sport. And I think we lived both extreme ends of the spectrum of commitment, where in our professional athletics, we had it honed in and we had the full team, and we would show up to practice every day and have someone tell us, do this. We never really had to make a choice on our own except for getting there. And even for me, I had help because I had my parents driving me, and it made it easier. But then when we both retired, we fell way off the bandwagon and went completely solo to this side of, we felt paralyzed to make any choice at all. We didn't know you needed commitment in everyday life as a normal human being. We didn't know that you needed to have a regimen and a plan and surround yourself with more or less coaches and community. And so we felt aimless for many, many years. Individually, I did that a lot solo before I met Andrew because I retired so young. And then Andrew went through that when we were together, which I think helped shorten the time span that he had to linger there because I could help him. But we learned very quickly that when you aimlessly wander without a plan and support, it leaves you feeling very anxious, for us, depressed, which is statistically speaking very normal for athletes. And you just don't feel like you're getting the full joy of life because there's so many voices and options and choices, and you don't know where to begin.
We did write this book pretty much to our past selves as we were transitioning out of sports. It was such a hard time going from a structure where there's such a scaffolding of every aspect of your life. You have your nutrition is planned out, your fitness, your friend group, your schedule. It's all like built around this goal of improving at your position and helping the team out as much as possible. And then that gets taken away from you, and we're in this abyss, and we're just kind of doggy paddling through life. And so we wrote this book for people going through transitions like that, whether they're new parents or just graduated from college or going through a career change, because we've tried to reflect on the frameworks that we were able to build and the processes that we were able to work through, as far as finding mentors who can give you honest input and advice, or, just like a coach would, saying, hey, you need to work on this. And it comes from a place of constructive criticism, not just like an unknown critique. We talk through what it looks like to create values and goals. And for us, I think everyone ends up somewhere in life. Some people just end up there on purpose. And what we're trying to inspire in people is just this realization that every commitment you make, either consciously or unconsciously, is really an invitation for that thing, whether it be a person or a hobby or a friend group, to form your habits and your character and ultimately your life. And so choose those well, that takes, that's a responsibility. And just like a marriage shapes you, and just like a sport can shape you, it's like this long, beautiful process, but just make sure it's forming you in a way that you are wanting it to.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, taking the time, I'm guessing you would say, to identify too how you want to be formed, like what actually matters. And I'm guessing as part of the journey, y'all came to a point like, hey, our marriage really matters, and we haven't figured out how to give our whole selves to this journey of becoming as a couple the way we figured out how to give our whole selves to our professional craft in the athletic world. That's what I'm picking up. Would you say that's true? Yeah.
One of my favorite things we write about in the book, and it was truly kind of probably the moment that changed the trajectory of our life, is I remember one year Andrew was playing for the Washington football team. Like, we're in the NFL.
Whatever that football team is. Whatever it is. Whatever the name is, that team.
And like we were living a great life. Like, and I feel like that was kind of the misunderstanding a lot of people might take away from this, is like we were living a great life. We were making choices every day for things that filled us up. But we sat down, I think it was stereotypically like January 1st. So we were making, new goals. And we got this interesting rubric from Andrew's father. And he said, just fill this out. And it basically dissected your entire life into categories of like personal growth, faith, philanthropy, community, friends, business, finances. There were so many. And we sat down and did something very different than we had ever done. We said, instead of writing goals that pertain to our life. Let's wipe the entire slate clean. Act as if tomorrow we could have any life we could ever dream of. Like, what is it that we actually want? And we found it really fascinating that both of us individually wrote down completely different lives than the ones we were living. And we said it's so fascinating that we can be living a great life, but not the one that we want. And we kind of took every goal in every category and did what we're good at as athletes. We broke that down into what are little daily, weekly things we can do that give us progress towards this goal.
Yeah.
And it changed our life, because now we'll sit down at our annual goal setting, and it's so beautiful that we look back and we say, we lived the exact year we wanted. And it felt so fruitful. And what do we want to change next year? Really nothing. There's like little tweaks here and there. But to see how we kind of got ourselves back onto a path that felt perfect to us,
Yeah.
and not just like good to the world's standards, I think was a really powerful thing that we did.
Yeah.
Or random. Talk to me about where spontaneity
Yeah.
and commitment.
Oh,
'Cause I
yeah.
think a lot of times people, myself,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
We scare people away
you're
with
either
that.
spontaneous or you're committed. And
And structured and
Yes.
organized and
Beep, boop, bop.
systematized.
And-
That's how she would describe that. Like, yeah, you're
or
rigid.
you're like Pocahontas and your grandmother is a tree. And
Yeah.
I don't
Best
recommend.
movie ever. It was my favorite movie growing up.
I resonated with Pocahontas.
See, look at the difference and yet the similarity.
Yeah.
See?
So talk about
Yeah.
that, because I think that too can be a barrier where people are like, I want the good of what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I'm afraid of what I will lose in the humanity of existence.
I'm very much a free spirit, like unscheduled, unstructured by nature. And just some examples of that. When Shawn and I met, I was in college. I walked around wearing the Mexican ponchos, kind of, like the sweatshirts. I had one other outfit in my closet. I had dreadlocks.
Wow.
And it was just like, I would just kind of ramble through life. And
Wow.
we get now, I
None
mean,
of which was a bad thing.
I've changed a lot. It is so funny how you kind of like co-create each other in a marriage
Yeah.
in some ways. But but we get a lot of input or critique of people saying, well, aren't you afraid you're going to lose the spontaneity or the whimsy of life? And I just know myself well enough that if I don't have structured, intentional time, I'm going to be irresponsible with it. I'm going to turn on
Yeah.
Netflix and scroll through my phone and just like veg out. And, maybe people are more responsible than me, but my goal now is for us to have as full of a schedule as possible, booked with intentional time. I'm not talking like crazy busy. I don't want to be frantic, but just like, hey, every day wake up at 5:30 and you're going to do a workout for an hour. And then every Thursday night on the schedule, we have date night, and it's just like full with intentional time. We have Sundays blocked for what we call the day of delight, but
We like
it's really
that.
the Sabbath. And it's just like, we're doing what we want to be doing. And I think there is a misconception of this idea of freedom as being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want it. And that is not freedom. That is chaos. That's not like good. That's not a good life. That is a bad anarchy, I think. And
Yeah.
so what we define freedom as is being able to do what you want to do most. Abraham Lincoln has this quote of discipline is being able to decide what you want most, being able to decide between what you want most and what you want now. And I feel like what we are just reflecting on is how do you decide what matters most? And then how do you build daily, weekly, monthly habits to get there? And yeah.
And then to argue the spontaneous time, we don't rigidly structure our schedule so that we don't allow spontaneity. I would argue that our structured self actually allows for more of it, because if we block off every Thursday night, which we do, for date night, we know that a babysitter is going to show up or grandma's going to show up at 5 p.m. And we might not schedule that date night until it's actually 5 p.m. And then it's like, what are we going to do? We have the whole night to ourselves.
Yeah.
But protecting the things that matter to you just in a time block might feel rigid, but allows for you to show up in that moment and say, we scheduled family time for all of us and the kids for the whole weekend. What should we do with it? And it's more so just protecting the values of what actually fill your cups, instead of impulsively saying yes to things to where you look back a couple weeks later and you're like, I didn't have any time for me and my husband, or I didn't have any time for me and my kids.
Yeah.
So it's not so much taking it to the rigid side of there's no leniency. It's more so protecting moments so that you can have spontaneous adventures.
Yeah. If I could share 2 stories from drastically different occupations. We're here in Music City, and a lot of people look at the music industry and creativity as being like this whimsical muse that strikes you. But if you look at the best people in the industry, let's take John Williams, who's a composer who's written the scores for Harry Potter, Jaws, all these massive movies. He shows up every day and he writes a score. He writes a musical score. And if you do that every day for decades like he's done, what we're saying is that gives you the possibility of having these massive breakthrough moments or these massive hits. And the opposite example is we got to do this TV show called The Special Forces, where we pretended to be Navy SEALs for 10 days. And we're around all these military guys and just hearing their stories. It's so fascinating to hear how the growth and change happens so intentionally in their life, where you take a Marine who shows up to the recruiter's office and he signs the paperwork. On that day, he gets to wear the uniform and he gets to become a Marine, but he still has a long way to go down the path of becoming an actual Marine, to actually have the heart of a Marine, the habits of a Marine, and be formed like one. And I just feel like not a lot of people know what path they're walking down. Not a lot of people understand that it takes daily investments of compounding that ultimately build into a life and an outcome that is, I think, beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah.
As you were sharing this, I'm going back to the context of marriage, right? Because I know y'all talk about commitment beyond that context, but I'm thinking about marriage, and I'm thinking about what Jesus says in Matthew 19, and this is Eugene Peterson's paraphrase, so it's a little different, but he basically says that if you're capable of growing into the largest of marriage, do it. And this is a response to a transactional question. Like they're like, okay, so, hey, how could I get out of marriage if I wanted to get out of marriage, right? That's essentially what these religious leaders are asking. They're always looking for the loopholes. They're always looking for the way to deny the spirit of a thing and focus on the form and miss what the thing is really all about. So Jesus' response is saying, actually, it's within the commitment of marriage that you can grow into the largeness or spaciousness of something that at this point you can't even grasp. So you can't grasp it, but you can be grasped by it if you surrender to a process that leads you beyond your current idea of self. And when we talk about commitment, I think for so many of us, like, well, what about me? Like, what about my options? What if I want to do something different? What if this isn't convenient or easy or whatever? And the reality is, like, for us, if we're saying, hey, our lives are supposed to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, he makes it very clear that we find our life by laying it down. And marriage or anything else worth pursuing, it's the same path of you find it by losing it, by laying it down. And it's not laying down the purity, the beauty, the hope. It's not laying that down. It's laying the form down of what we're grasping for so that we can enter into something new that is going to awaken us to the purpose. And I love what you were saying about how you're making the decision now, right? That you know reflects what you hope to become through this journey of life, right? Like you're making that decision now. And by making that decision, whether it's the date or whatever it is, you're creating space for spontaneity. Like that for me, I'm thinking about that. And I'm even looking at my own life where I've missed that.
Yeah.
So thank y'all.
I feel like we actually, again, we're very religious people and we come from a religious family, but we tried to write a book that bridged the gaps of those who would say, well, I don't have Jesus in my life, to know that. And so we try to write it in like the science form, where if you read it from a Christian perspective, you're like, oh, I get it, But I feel like describing exactly what you said, we brought in the J curve, right? Is it J curve? You're the scientist. Some curve. And it's this idea of the cultural narrative tells us that we should just constantly find the things that give us a dopamine hit. Yeah. And then as soon as that goes away, the honeymoon phase, then move on to the next thing. Job, marriage, relationship, whatever it is. You should always be happy and serve yourself. And we argue the science behind this with data, his data, not mine. I'm the emotion behind the book, not the facts. In athletics, we learned that you would start doing something and it'd be so exciting. And then you get to the boring middle of it becomes monotonous and painful and frustrating. And you start thinking, is this ever going to be fun again?
Yeah.
And that's usually when people quit.
Yeah.
But we say if you stick with it a little bit longer, studies will show that your joy and your success skyrockets if you wait long enough.
Wow.
And it's this idea that if you wait long enough in the monotony of something, I would argue you unlock a spiritual aspect that you otherwise would never be able to find because you've actually persevered through something and found depth in it and meaning. But it takes a grind. It doesn't.
And
perseverance.
It takes a lot of humility, which is why I think Jesus is a great person to follow, as he usually is. It also takes an element of belief. I think of this scene from Indiana Jones where he's at this cliff. He's on this treasure hunt, and he finds himself at this cliff where he's trying to get to the other side so he can continue on. And he has to cross this invisible bridge. And you have to, he's been told you have to put your full weight on this bridge that you can't see. And to me, it's like such a beautiful analogy for what it takes to take wisdom or advice from someone else or to get anywhere or make any change to progress towards your goals. Is like you have to say, okay, I am laying down what feels natural or right to me, and I am putting my full weight onto this. And it's just, I think it's a beautiful example. I also think of, Jesus was he was a pretty committed dude, pretty convicted.
I just wish he had gotten married and been like, this is what this should look like, or had children.
Yeah. I kind of left that one open though. It's funny. I recently was just looking at the historical timeline of Jesus and where he came in history, and then also digging into other messianic figures that have come across in the historical timeline. There's this really fascinating story talking about conviction and commitment of in the 1500s, this character named Saftai Zevi. Look him up if you haven't heard of it. It's crazy. They thought he was the Messiah. Everyone thought this is who we've been waiting for. And so he's speaking he's saying all these prophetic words, doing all these things, creating a lot of confusion and mass movement, so much so that he gets called into the Ottoman Empire's, the Ottoman ruler's throne, right? He is face to face with this Ottoman ruler. He's like, okay, are you the Messiah? You're either going to lay down your life and prove to me that you are by coming back, or if you're not up for that, if you're not as convicted or committed as I think you are, you can walk away from the faith and convert to Islam. And so Saftai says, I'm not about that life. I'm going to convert to Islam. And it's dude, to me, when you think just from a series of events, what commitment looks like, and seeing something all the way through, walking down the path to its finish, no one else, as far as religious figures goes, had that conviction that Jesus had. It's so revealing and insightful to me when I think of who I would want to follow. It's that type of convicted figure. So anyway, there's my that's the story I was going for.
I figured.
Okay, I want to go very, very detailed.
Okay.
Because I want people to get the book. It's excellent. We'll start a book club so we can discuss it. But you're talking about this J curve.
Yeah.
So y'all are 10 years into marriage.
Yeah.
You have 3 small children.
Yeah.
Life is full.
Yeah.
You're doing work together. How do you, and I love that you said there is a season of monotony.
Oh yeah.
I think that's where people, they feel like they are sinning to even say, this is a season of monotony.
Yeah.
I'm a little bored here, or I'm a little exhausted having this same conflict or conversation.
Wrong with me because I feel this way.
Or there's something inherently wrong with them and I need to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
So if we look at statistics, if we have conversations with random strangers on the street, it is very hard at that season. I'm thinking of 10 years in, 10 to probably, 15 15.
Yeah, like 7 to 15, that range. Yeah.
Yes.
You're saying right where we're in the middle.
basically.
Right, what you're in the middle.
What you're in the heart of. Yeah.
But I mean, weekly date night,
Yeah, that's
like
well
killing
done,
it.
y'all. Well done on that.
But beyond that, what else is keeping you like, no, this is a commitment. This is where I'm pushing through. I'm not saying your relationship is monotonous.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But there is a season of monotony in every marriage.
Yeah.
Like I do love normalizing things where it's like, that's okay. It's
Absolutely.
okay for there to be seasons of choosing this a little harder than you may have just been led into it and in the flow of love with this person initially. If there's a season of choosing it, there's seasons of choosing in parenthood. Anything worth doing,
Yeah.
like you're saying as professional athletes, there's a season of choosing.
Yeah.
And what is it that you have learned and gleaned and studied out, Andrew, where it's like, oh, here's some gold that you would offer to the at-home listeners. Like, hey, here you go.
I would say it sounds unromantic and it sounds not spontaneous, but we have so many systems in place to almost like combat that and help, or at least get us to like each next week, each next day. But we have daily check-ins, or we were told by the Gottman Institute that a word you can call it is bids in a day. So we try to give ourselves at least 3 moments in a day. We have intentionally scheduled to make intentional contact with each other, like eye-to-eye contact. We're reading a devotional, we're making a coffee, but we read devos in the morning, we make coffees for each other every day, and then after we put the kids to sleep, because we have a 6, 4, and 2-year-old, we always come together. We call it beverage time, whether you're having a glass of water, a glass of wine, and we take 5 to 10 minutes to just like decompress from the day. How was your day? I feel like a lot of times we don't have time for that anymore because you go straight to your phone or TV. So we do that every single day. Every week on Sunday, we do like a planning session for the next week. Just to like look at the calendar, make sure it feels good, make sure we're supporting each other in what we have. We do monthly check-ins. That's where we go somewhere outside of the house. We call it like a neutral territory, where you can bring up any larger grievances from the month. Things that have been bothering you. Not to say you don't still bring those up on a daily basis, but these are like patterned, recognized things.
Yeah.
And then we can also do like 3 things that you've done really well to make me feel seen or you feel seen. And then we do our annual goal setting and weekly date nights. But it's like all these intentional things to make sure that, one, we're not building resentment. We're not blindly missing a misstep or a misconnection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
Can I ask you how long those are?
Yeah.
The monthly one in particular. So the dailies are more 5-10 minutes.
5-10 minutes.
Correct. 3 of those.
The
though.
weekly is...
The weekly, sometimes
half hour to an hour, depends on
Like calendar going
Yeah.
through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Calendar,
kids'
talking through the
schedules,
week.
who's
Yeah.
going to do pickups.
Yeah.
Does it feel like we have enough community time? Do we have enough workout individual time? Just trying to
How many
make
times
sure.
we play pickleball this
Yeah,
year?
exactly. Monthly check-ins, maybe an hour at a coffee shop.
Okay.
Not,
But that's not your date, correct?
it's not your date.
Your dates, yeah. See, I knew the look was going.
And
I do try to move. I try to bring those two together sometimes. And she's like,
Isn't this romantic?
this is-
Let's talk about.
let's talk about
Yeah.
our lives. like
Yeah.
this. And she's like,
but even our dates every week, sometimes they're an hour. Sometimes we go to dinner, we have dinner, we go back, and we're like waiting in the driveway to see if our kids are asleep, or we make it back to put our kids down. Sometimes it's 5 hours. Like, you never know.
yeah.
Yeah. We have a 6-year-old, and so we've been hearing dad on board or mom
Yeah.
on board quite a lot.
Yeah.
And our response has become good because now creativity is right around the corner. And so playing off of that, I think we lay out in the book that the reason you should approach life with this style of commitment is because it unlocks calm, depth, joy, meaning, and mastery. And so if you're in that mundane middle or the boring middle, I think it's like good because the best parts of life are just right around the corner. And what we are proposing and hypothesizing is if you're able to find the beauty and the nuance of an average Tuesday afternoon in the playroom with your baby, then that will allow you to see the world's wonders with such higher resolution and have such a depth of appreciation more than if you're just trying to get through life to these peak moments. It's like, if you can really stop and smell the roses and say, wow, today is beautiful, I think that sets you up for a way better place. One thing we also do is we quantify everything. We have like 150 things in our life where we're not like tally marking every second of the day, but like that we loosely know this is how many times we've hosted friends, or this is how many times we've cooked dinner or lunch at home. This is how many times we've eaten out. This is how many times we've worked out, all these things.
We only have that because, to make this sound more doable and not way overwhelming, we're only able to do that because every Sunday we do our calendar.
Yeah.
So you can so easily go back through the year and say, oh, we had this many, AI can quantify that for you. We're not like writing down 150 lists.
So
You just had a panic attack. She's like, I
a
get
list
this.
on the side of your refrigerator.
With tally marks.
Tally marks and
It's not
pictures.
an everyday thing, but
Kids go do it.
It is. But, it'll help us set goals because we're like, well, we want to do, there's 52 weeks. We want 52 date nights. Or, there's 52 weeks, we want 52 Sabbaths, it's day of delights that we do X, Y, and Z. But it's been really helpful in being able to like toggle on and off between moments where we feel the qualitative goodness of life, where we feel the feelings of like, yeah, sweet, this is so fun, and I feel happy or romantic. Toggling between those feelings and the quantification of, hey, you know what? Well, I'm still going to show up and I'm going to measure this. And I know that if I keep chugging along towards the date nights, then we'll have a moment or a date night that is this romantic feeling. And so you can kind of like ebb and flow between the two. And anyway, I think that's been a helpful strategy.
I can see where that would be helpful for people who are really hard on themselves also.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I tracked my calendar for 5 minutes once, and it was like a week. And I realized how many hours in a week I was volunteering.
Yeah.
Whether it was just pouring out walks or coffees or a young moms group I'll speak to, just things where I was like, I ended that week really much more aware of the value.
Yeah.
Where to me, they felt spontaneous and sporadic, but I had somewhere to put my exhaustion. Like,
You could give it a name, a meaningful name.
a meaning.
Yeah.
I could give it a meaning. And it shifted it. Where it wasn't, I've just been doing a lot of things for a lot of
busy.
people.
Yeah.
I'm just busy. Where instead it's like, I volunteered 20 hours this week.
Yeah.
And like, our family volunteered my time in these different ways. It did set such a different perception towards that. So you're like, I'm thinking of Count of Monte Cristo, him like toggling the days. But there's something to that where you then, even the partnership and taking ownership, going back to the marriage commitment where you're like, this is what we're doing with our time. How can we own one another's choices, even if it is pickleball or working out, where it's like, I know what that does for you.
Yeah.
And if you are a little more lax in your habits of, daily movement being a priority, it gives you then, I'm going to speak generically, like if the man is being more intentional to work out and the woman is like, oh, there's permission here to do that. And I think most husbands would be like, absolutely there is.
Yeah.
How can we figure this out? Instead of silently feeling like they are bearing all of the brunt and all of the burden of the husband living his best life.
Yeah.
So
It brings up a lot of great conversation at the end of the year because we'll bring up pickleball. We'll be like, okay, my perception of the year was that I felt like you were playing a lot of pickleball. Did it feel like the right amount to you or too much? And if it's the right amount, then it's like, okay, how can we schedule this out so that it's not interfering with something? It just gives you a way to like audit your life that feels more tangible.
It also creates a game within a game, which I think is super important. When you're in the middle part, and when we're in the middle of off-season training in football, those practices feel so boring. And you're not really sure what the end result's going to be, seasons, months away. But so we would always have these little like game within a games of practice where you're like racing against this or you're doing whatever in the weight room that makes it a little more lively and engaged. And so the metrics do that, as well as provide like a third party unbiased reflection of how you are spending
You're
your
like,
day.
look how much you played pickleball.
I'm like, it was 5 times this whole year.
9 a.m. or
I won
8
0
a.m. on a
yes.
Friday? Is that really the best time?
We've never had that conversation. And that's actually why I don't play very often on Friday morning.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
good.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And I love that, like, yes, your children are 6, 4, and 2. And the cynic in me wants to be like, enjoy this time.
Yeah.
But the hopeful in me is like, you are setting a foundation for them to, you are fully invited into this. There is space for you here. You get your own toggle marks.
Yeah.
But that there is such a clear trajectory the family is on. And it's like, hey, you're in this, you're with us, you will play a part in shifting where the emphasis lies and in different seasons. And yet that they recognize like they are one of a family.
Yeah.
Like they're already heavily within the full system of, they tell us how many play dates they want a week, and like we're always doing our self-reflection every Sunday of like, did our middle get enough time? Because it seems like our girl got the most time this week. So they're way in it, and it's constantly trying to balance them as well, making sure that we're equally pouring into each kid and they're getting their own opportunities in the calendar and structure.
And we hope at the very least our children will walk out having known what a strong family culture looks like, or known how to lay out scaffolding for their life. Maybe not that they need to adopt the exact one that we have, but at least they know which tools they can use to build that for themselves. Yeah.
Because I feel like what you're giving us is you're giving us a charge to create common language. And you can't have a commitment if you're unclear as to your shared language.
Yeah.
So that might work if it's just you in your own journey, your own process, but you're inviting us into a type of commitment that is covenantal. Like when we talk about the most meaningful forms of commitment, it's I'm giving all of me to all of you, and there's this intermingling. I know you're hearing the John Legend song. There's this intermingling of otherness that almost creates a life in itself that is between the two people that you guys get to steward together.
Yeah.
And you have to create a language as a culture. Like you said, it's your home, it's that culture, it's your team, it's your children, whatever it is, you're creating a culture. And what I love that y'all are sharing is like, hey, build your culture, build it on this idea of commitment and having courage to create a world where people can grow into who God created them to be. And we discover that by going beyond what we thought was possible or beyond what we thought was comfortable. So I love it. I'm on board. Julie said we're going to do this. I'm definitely convicted because I have tried to conflate some things for the sake of efficiency. And we were even having a conversation yesterday, and something I love about what you shared, we were talking about the idea of systems. And I said, the systems that are too rigid, they go quickly because something breaks and people can't flex. I feel like what y'all have done, even the way you've built it, is you built it to where there's a lot of room for adjustments as the seasons change. As your kids get older, the expression of the commitment will shift, but the core, the conviction, the courage is going to remain the same. And that's what you're going to eventually be able to give to them. And I feel like that's what you're giving to all of us. So thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tell us where people can find you, buy the book. It came out this week,
That's right.
which I don't know when this will come out, but
It comes out at the end of this month, but it came out this month.
came out this month.
This month.
That's right. You can find the book anywhere you buy books. Check it out on Amazon. It's called The Courage to Commit, Embrace the Radical Power of Sticking with Something. I would just recommend following Shawn and not myself. You can find her at Shawn Johnson on most platforms. But
And Andrew East anywhere.
and then we also have our podcast called Couple Things, which has been a real fun project.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll
Y'all-
put links in the notes and all
Yeah.
that good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you guys. Thank you for not just living it, but then choosing to collaborate together,
Yeah.
to write it, to
Yeah.
share it.
That is
I know we talked,
sacrificial.
we got kind of down to like systematized marriage because that's
Yeah.
the lane that we're in right
Yeah.
now, but it's so much broader than that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot to learn from you guys, so thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
absolutely.
Andrew, do you want to pray us out? We normally
Yeah.
pray out at the end of the episode.
I like it.
Will you
Yeah,
pray us
please.
out?
Yeah. Dear Lord, thank you for this time that we got to spend with the Beveres. Thank you for all the good that they're bringing into the world. Thank you for their courage and sharing it. And I pray for this episode that it would fall on the ears of the people who need to hear it. And may there be some change where someone sees you in a new way. And thank you for everyone who made it happen, all the team behind the camera. Thank you for the generosity of these two, Addison and Juli, for having us. And I pray this is not the last time that we get to hang with them. So we love you, and thanks for loving us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thanks for being with us today. This podcast is part of the greater Messenger Network. We're dedicated to making and mobilizing everyday messengers.
If this podcast is strengthening you, then make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And if you want even more, then click the link below so that you can find ways to partner with us in more ways. Thank you. See you next time.